So let's move over a little bit into kind of maybe not today, but what was working for you, some of the things maybe you taught, at least that you can speak about, taught to the main event, or some of the things that made your centers so successful. Is there anything you can share with proprietors on what made that work so well in being able to make that exit?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. I mean, I looked at the business from sort of two perspectives. One is sort of the art of the business, meaning how do guests feel when they come in? What do they feel when they're there? What do they feel when they leave? What are their interactions like with the team members and the team members themselves? How do they feel about working there, and how do you capture their hearts? It's all on the sort of the business, all the impressions that you make on people. And then there's the science side of the business, which I kind of like too, which is all about analyzing the P&L and analyzing sort of the business trends and how do I get more business in a day part that I need more business, and how do I make the peak times a little bit more efficient, and how can I get my supply costs from 3% to 2.5%. Those kind of things on the science side are equally intriguing to me. So I like approaching the business from those two aspects.
I like that.
But probably the single biggest thing that made a difference, I spent some time handling the marketing for Brunswick retail centers when we had 135 locations or something.
Yeah.
And I started our customer database so that each location was gathering database. And we actually started off sort of this was before email marketing was popular, but we'd send out monthly postcards.
Okay.
Part of the biggest issue with our business is we've got to stay top of mind with people who are thinking on Monday or Thursday or even Friday night, hey, what are we going to do this week?
Exactly.
And so eventually I was sending out like 750,000 postcards every month.
Wow. A month.
A month.
Wow.
We had 135 locations.
Okay. Yeah.
And so each location had maybe 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 people in their database. And we sent out a themed postcard for every month. Like February was Valentine's theme. And it was all about, we had all these variables. I gave the general managers and the operations, do you want to do this package or this package? What do you want to market?
Yeah.
And so we had variables. And then I had the center address, the guest address, and did this whole massive mail merge and got them all out on the 28th of the month before.
Wow.
And they made it on the fridge, or they stayed on the toaster or wherever they hang out, and just created top of mind. That created 5% lift in the number of games that we sold.
Yeah.
That campaign, because it helped to keep us top of mind.
Right.
We started to switch towards email marketing, much more electronic database. So my 3 centers that we sold each had about 50,000 people apiece in their guest database.
Right.
And it was very robust. If somebody, like twice a year, we keep track of who opens and who doesn't open the email. And if after 6 or 8 months they haven't opened an email, we send them a super duper offer. Hey, we noticed you haven't, and eventually we'll cleanse them out if they're because the market changes about 15% every year. People move out of, if you've got a 20-mile or 20-minute drive radius time, every year 15% of it moves out, maybe across town, and they're no longer really in the market or whatever.
Absolutely. Right.
So it has to be robust. And so consequently, when you got 50,000 people in your database, you have to get 1,000 new ones every week.
Yeah.
In order to keep your database growing and keep that turn flush.
Right. Yeah, there's a shelf life.
Yes, exactly right. And keep it relevant. So we had a remarkable 32 to 35% open rate.
Wow.
In our email.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
And a lot of click-throughs. So it was really, and talk about staying top of mind. It's all about the subject line and getting people to go, wow, click on that. And truly what it boiled down to is from the old days of league bowlers where we had 3,500 adult league bowlers bowling across 7 days. If I'm going to have a St. Patrick's Day tournament, I could go lane to lane, talk to every guest in 7 days and make sure every one of them was aware of that and even put a flyer in their hand.
Right.
When you have guests coming 2 or 3 times a year, you can't do that.
Right.
So you have to figure out a way to be relevant, to have offers that they're going to open and be a big part of making that the chunk of your market. And of course, social media and all the rest go with it. So we have to figure out something to replace Yellow Pages.
Right. Yeah. Those two are the same concept, just a different platform or application, but it's the same thing, keeping top of mind. I always try to convey the concept that most people have a short list of things that they're going to do on a weekend, the same 3 or 4 restaurants or whatever they're going to do. As long as you're on that list and you keep somewhere and you don't drop off that short list, you're going to get your hits eventually. And if you can take someone from 2 times a year to 3 or 4, you essentially double your business just by getting them to come in 1 or 2 extra times a year.
Exactly.
You know? And that's
because
easier.
It's a big spend. Right. It's a big spend, but on the flip side, it's a big commitment to us to make sure. I mean, if you think about how busy people's lives are, and they're deciding that they're going to spend 2.5, 3 hours at your place with their kids or with their extended family that are visiting or with their pals or whatever, and they're going to spend a couple of $100, maybe $300.
Right.
They're going to spend 15 minutes driving there. I mean, in the middle of the day or whatever. It's a huge commitment. We just have to make sure that we execute flawlessly. Got to make sure that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're staffed right. All the equipment's working like pristine, inventory's right, all the prep is good, and all the rest of it in order to see if we can get that $100,000 Saturday. Whatever the goal is, to stretch it. I mean, I've always thought there is a way to analyze a Saturday, even if a place is a busy Saturday, they're doing a $40,000 Saturday, whatever it may be. There's a way to get it to 45.
Right.
There's a way to take your busiest day and make it better through proper staffing, proper preparation, making sure everything's working right, figure out how to make the turn faster and easier, all that kind of stuff. That's a little bit more the science of the business, is adding ways to, I mean, effectively get a whole nother 3 hours in the day. How can you figure out how to do that?
Right. Or increase their spend or whatever it is while they're there. Over time, talking to different proprietors, I've kind of come to the conclusion there's really only 3 ways you can increase the business. You can increase your average ticket, the visit frequency, how many times they get you, and then just new customers coming through the door. So any combination of those that's basically your 3 options.
You're exactly right. Agree with that.
Hey, did you like this video? Great. We make 10 of them a week. Subscribe to learn more and keep learning about what's working in the industry. Talk to you then.